Hello Europe, it's Eurovision Ireland and we're back for another review of the songs from the 2021 Eurovision Song Contest. Let's just introduce the crowd. So first we've got James.
Hey everyone.
And we've got our guest reviewer, Shardy. Welcome, Shardy.
Hi there.
We've got Bogdan.
Hi everyone.
In the press room. We've got Sarah.
Everyone.
Who may have a certain inclination towards one country, who knows. We've got Richard.
Hiya.
And we've got me, John, and maybe once or twice Mr. Staggy might pop up as well. Who knows? Anyway, we're going to review the songs from the Nordic countries, and because there's only 5 of them with the funny Scandinavian cross, we've included Estonia, because some would say they maybe feel more Nordic than they feel not Nordic, as it were. And that actually brings us on to the first song, which is the Estonian song. And the person who's going to lead this one is James. So over to you.
Right, so this is where I make myself incredibly unpopular. And say last year after Eesti Laul, I heard the song, I was like, oh, okay. And that was it. Didn't leave much impact for me, last year's entry. It was sort of one of those songs, we all have them, and anyone who says otherwise, isn't telling the truth. We hear all these songs in a Eurovision year, and there's always a few that we sort of go, oh yeah, you're there as well. And unfortunately, last year for me, Estonia sort of fell into that category. I sort of couldn't even hum it for you now, to be honest. I was glad to see that Uku is going again. I was curious if the Estonian public would push for him. I mean, there were some really big names in that national selection, when you consider that Jüri Putsman, Koit Toome were in there as well. So I thought, okay, there are some real veteran performers in there. Will they hand it back to Uku? But I'm glad to see they did. This year's song, I think, is a massive improvement on last year. I listened to it and I was just hooked instantly. It's a bit sort of dark, falling out of love kind of thing, sort of, a bit maudling, but that's the kind of music I like. I think he performs it really, really well, watching the national selection. One thing that I think Uku needs to work on for Rotterdam is he does a lot of this. He's singing so emotively that his eyes are completely closed. And as we all know, that's Televote 101. We don't do that. So I think if he could open his eyes a bit more and connect with the camera, then I think Estonia have got a really good chance. Talking about qualifying and things, I always think it's difficult to say this early in a contest when we sort of basically know what pots countries are in rather than, the running order and such. But I think if Estonia go down the same route they went down in Tel Aviv, sort of trying to bring the national final staging to the Eurovision stage, with the chain curtain, with the graphics film backwards in water and things, I think that Estonia could get into the final quite easily with it. So in case you couldn't tell, I'm a really big fan of this song.
Thank you, James. Thank you, James. Okay, we're going to go around the room now and just get some brief views off the rest of us. So, Shardy, what do you think of Estonia?
My views are opposite to James's. I preferred last year's. What I did like about this year's was the stage looked really good. His vocals were really strong. I loved the start. I thought it was a really atmospheric, haunting start. But for me, it didn't build on that, where last year I preferred the darkness and the edginess and the heartfeltness of his song this year.
Thanks, Shardy. Bogdan, give us your views on Uku Suviste.
Well, I quite enjoyed this year's song, so I'm not mad about it. So, yeah, I think it has a chance to qualify. It has a memorable chorus, and I must say and echo what James said. He doesn't have a great connection with the camera, and he needs to work on that. But the song has a chance to qualify, considering it's in the semi-final that is not so challenging.
Thanks, Bogdan. Sarah, what do you think?
I have to say I'm not a fan of it, really. The sad thing is I actually can't remember very much of it, which I think sort of sums up really how I felt performance. There's no doubt about it, his vocals are good, and I agree with Bogdan and James that he does need to work more so we're connecting with the camera. But for me, it was just very dark. It was just sort of very kind of miserable, really, I thought. I think it will qualify, probably sort of just come in within the top 10. I did prefer last year's entry much better, but I have to say I am glad that they are sending him again, because I think he did deserve a chance after missing out on last year.
Thanks, Sarah. Richard, over to you.
I'm with Shardy and Sarah here. I preferred What Love Is from last year over this year's entry. And I know there's this big thing about him being one of the big favourites before Esti Lau. And sitting there doing a live blog during the final back in March, was it? Oh, I can't remember. I actually thought he was going to be runner-up, if I'm honest with you. But if he can polish the stage show, do the connectivity with the camera, and if and that is a big if there's some audience, if he can connect with them as well, he should qualify easily.
Okay, thanks, Richard. Yeah, I was quite surprised when he won Esti Lau, because there were some other rather noteworthy songs in there, not necessarily better or worse, but just noteworthy songs. So I was quite surprised to see him come through and win it, which, you know, pleasantly surprised. What do I think? He's got a cracking voice, excellent voice, and he could be a good salesman for a song. He just needs to tweak the act, I think. But with the right staging, I think this should see Estonia through. Okay, right, onwards and upwards. Right, the next song we're going to review is the one from Iceland. Now, as we know, Dowdy got a few tongues wagging last year. Let's see if he can get the same tongues wagging in the same way this year. Our reviewer for this one is going to be Shardy. So over to you.
I, along with many others, was really looking forward to Dowdy's new song, anticipating something exciting to follow last year's one of the favourites of last year, and one that charted in the UK. But hearing it, I was initially disappointed. But I have had the chance to listen to this 2, 3 or 4 times, and as the chorus goes, why does it keep getting better? For me, it does keep getting better the more and more I listen to it. It's got a more sophisticated sound, I think. I love the strings at the start. I think that's a really good opener. And his voice is chilling. It's really deep as well. It seems to have got deeper than last year. But he's kept the same kind of 80s vibe, disco, kind of distinctive vibe that he has. And the dance moves remind me a little bit of a modern day Brotherhood of Man from 1976. We all know they won as well. And I think important in these times, in these challenging times, it makes us smile, it makes us laugh. The costumes, the dance routine, the lyrics. And I think this will definitely qualify, and I think this will be a contender. Is it good enough to win? Well, I think we've got to remember that not everyone will have had last year's to compare it with, and they will see the quirkiness and the upbeatness, and we'll see. We'll see if it wins or not, but I think it's got a good chance.
Okay, thanks, Shardy. Bogdan, tell us your thoughts.
Well, I'm a bit, I don't know, confused, because I was expecting much more from him. And yeah, like Shardy said, initially I was a bit disappointed. I don't mind it. I think it's a good song. I like all the quirkiness involved. And for the majority of the viewers, as we all know, it's going to be something new. For me, it's not a novelty, unfortunately. So from that point of view, I'm not that keen on it. But definitely, I think it will work for the televoters. I'm not sure if it will work for the jury. But it will qualify. It has a chance to be somewhere in the top 10. I don't see it as a winner, honestly. I'm sorry, but I don't see it as a winner. I see it doing well. And yeah, qualifying, definitely.
Okay, thanks, Bogdan. Sarah, what do you think?
Well, like Shardy, I was really sort of looking forward to hearing them after last year and all the hype that we had. It was actually classed as a possible winner last year, but so I was really looking forward to it. And when I first heard the sort of the violins at the start of it and cellos, I thought, oh, this could be interesting. And I was kind of thinking, is it going to be a ballad or is it going to be something up tempo? and then we sort of go into this nice sort of happy little tune. And I have to say, I really quite enjoyed it. Quite a catchy little number. For me, it didn't quite have the same effect as last year. I don't know why. It just sort of, there's a little bit more ordinariness about it this year compared to last year. And I honestly think that probably Iceland's best chance to win was last year, to be honest. I don't think they've been able to top Think About Things. I think it will definitely qualify. I think it will definitely be top 10. I don't think it's going to be a winner, unfortunately. Sorry.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Sarah. Richard, over to you.
I'm with Sarah on this one. I think About Things peaked Iceland's chances of winning. Not to say this year's song hasn't got that bit of quirkiness to it. The quirkiness that it's got will get the televoters vote, but I can't see the juries voting for it, unfortunately. But yeah, I think they peaked last year.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying not to compare this year with last year, because most of the televoters out there won't have any memory of, a song from last year compared to a song from this year. But this one I prepared to make an exception because it did get that much airplay. He will be a familiar name, a familiar sound. So there's going to be more of a comparison with his song last year, which was a contender, let's be honest, with this one this year. And whilst I don't mind the 80s style, and it could be a bit of a bop, and I think he's going to make some very effective use of the pre-recorded vocals, because of the children's choir that just appears and vanishes during the course of the 3 minutes. I don't think it's as good as last year. Finalist, should be a winner. I don't think so. James, finish off Iceland for us.
I was just sniggering when you said about the children's choir, because I remember watching it by that point. I was like, oh, there's even a choir of children. I'm like, they are throwing literally everything at this, and sad to say I wasn't all that impressed with the result. I think the thing for me is, Think About Things I never really clicked with, and I know this has got me into trouble with certain people. I've said, I didn't get the hype of it last year. That being said, I like the song this year more. I do feel, though, as I think it was Richard or Sarah said, that Iceland's moment sort of came and possibly went with 2020. That's not to say that they won't ever win, but I think maybe with this style of music, I think last year it was a novelty, it was something different, and got so much attention and airplay, it was sort of impossible not to be drawn in by it. This year feels like they've tried very, very hard to capture a lot of the stuff from last year and to make it into a different song, and for me it hasn't quite worked. It's not bad per se, but I think it's, as we said, when you sort of have the knowledge of 2020 and 2021, you are going to sort of compare them invariably. Qualifying, I actually disagree with everyone. I can see the jury's putting this one through. I think the televote will get the quirky side of it, but I think also the juries will be invested in this one. Winning Eurovision overall, I'd be surprised if it did, put it that way.
Thank you. Right, so viewer, there you have our views on Iceland. We're going to carry on now to Finland. Cue the flag. Finland. They've not opted for last year's act. They've gone for someone completely different. Bogdan's going to lead on this one. Off you go.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about Finland tonight, because we're talking about Blind Channel and Dark Side, or should I say a dark horse, maybe? Like, Finland sent exactly what I wanted from Finland, a rock song, and it's so Finnish. It's a metal rock song, and yes, it reminds me a little bit of Limp Bizkit and Linkin Park and that classical rock that we all know and love. But it's really good. I enjoy it. It's not a simple song. It's a complex song. It has different levels. It's not always in your face. It has soft tones. It has hard tones, and it's quite complex. It's well built, and I'm really excited to talk about it, as you might see. And I know usually rock songs don't do well at Eurovision, and it's been a while since a rock song won, like still with Finland. But I hope the juries would like it. It has the song has some controversial lyrics, but I think it speaks to the younger generation, and I think people will enjoy listening to it. And I just hope that it will convince people and the jury to vote for it. Like, the performance is so ready; they don't have to change anything. Like, do the same thing that you did at the OMK final, and it's going to be perfect. Finland definitely has to qualify. For me, it's definitely, again, in top 10 or even higher. I suppose it's all up to the juries, but it's a really good song. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. They just put up such a good show. It's not only a performance, but they are expressing themselves, and it shows that. So thumbs up for me.
Thanks, Bogdan. Okay, we're going to go around the room again. We're going to start with Sarah this time.
Oh dear. What can I say? I'm not a fan of this type of music at all, by my own admission. And I have to say, I love Finland for the fact that they always tend to try and send something different. And particularly with the rock songs, they always tend to hit it every time they send one. But for me, this one was, I just couldn't take to it. To me, it was just a lot of shouting, screaming. I can't take away the fact that it's quite an impressive stage performance. I will give it that. But certainly not my preferred taste in music. I've no doubt it will divide Europe. I think there'll be a lot that will go for this, and there'll be some that may feel the same way as I do. But I think possibly telly votes. It'll pick up a lot of telly votes. I'm not so sure about the juries. I think it may sort of just qualify, and I think maybe bottom end of the final, in the bottom end of the.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. Richard, can you give us your views on Finland?
Yeah, I'm like Sarah. I'm not a fan of it at all. For Finland's sake, I hope they qualify, because Finland, needs some good luck in Eurovision at the moment. In regards to the juries, telly voters are probably going to vote for it. The country juries, they're either all going to like it or none of them are going to like it. I think it's going to be either or. So if it makes the final, it's not going to do that well, unfortunately. Sorry, Finland.
Okay, thanks, Richard. Right, I mean, I'll go along with Bogdan here. It reminded me of something I couldn't quite put my finger on. Right, all I could come up with was US college rock. You said Linkin Park and Limp Bizkit. I thought, yeah, that's who it is. I detected there was almost a bit of a bass line there that we got from the song by AWS a few years ago from Hungary, which reeled me in, I have to say. I've nothing against this song. I think it's okay. My only worry is it could be a little bit niche, and it's whether the people that are into that sort of music are going to be watching on a Thursday evening. Yeah, Thursday evening. That's my only worry, that it might not get the viewers that are into that sort of music. Yeah, they tune in on a Saturday to watch the big grand final, but maybe not the Thursday. That's my worry. I'd love to see it through, but I fear for it, I'm afraid. James.
I'm amazed. I think this is one of the times that we've sort of disagreed most about a group of songs. I really enjoyed it watching UMK. It just stole the show, and I mean it won something insane, like 79-point-something% of the televote went to it. So it won by a huge landslide. I can see why. There's just such energy and passion in the way they perform. I do think John has a point about whether people that are into sort of metal bands and everything are going to be watching a Eurovision semi-final on a Thursday evening. The thing is, though, I think in that sort of 30 seconds before the song starts, say, this is the band representing Finland. They wrote this song about their feelings about lockdown and pandemic and things. So I think that will sort of bring people in, like, oh, okay, this is something we've all experienced. And show those lyrics, throw your middle fingers up, we're all feeling it, let's be completely honest. So I think even people that aren't necessarily into this kind of rock, they'll sort of think, oh yeah, actually that was a good point, and might swing at a televote or two. I hope it does get to the final. I can see it doing well. I think once it's in the final, it will do one of two things. It will either sail into the top 10 because everyone goes, oh yeah, that was Finland, the Rockers, they were great. Or it will just sort of flounder and, finish 23rd. Sort of don't see it doing, it's either going to do really well or it's not. That's where I see it.
Thanks, James. Well, that's it is. That's one of our biggest disagreements, I think, has with that one song. Okay, so that's 3 down, 3 to go. Just a reminder to the viewer that we will be scoring each of these songs afterwards. Score out of 10, and we'll be discounting the worst score, so the score scored out of 50. But we'll come on to that at the end.
Shadi has to say.
You forgot Sean.
Oh,
you already did that.
Shadi, Finland.
Yeah, I'm one of these, like, Sarah, this is definitely not my sort of music. It's definitely not something I would usually listen to. But I won't put my middle finger up at this or anything about, because I really liked it in the end. I liked the start. I thought the start was energetic. It was charismatic. It really got me hooked in the start. I wish, unlike Bogdan, who liked the light and shade of it, I wish it was like a banger throughout. And so I'm the sort of person contradictory to what James says, who wouldn't usually listen to this sort of music, who was drawn in by the performance. So yeah, so I think it would definitely qualify, and I think it will be in the top 10.
Thanks, Shadi, and sorry for missing you out earlier. Won't happen again. Right. Swiftly moving on. We're now going to Denmark. And now our main reviewer is Sarah. Over to you.
Right. Well, being a person of Danish roots, I've always been really interested in Dance Melody Grand Prix over the years. And I have to say that my view of the Danish voting public is always they either go for something that is going to be a possible winner, or they go for something that's safe. And I think, to be fair, the quality standard in this year's Dance Melody Grand Prix wasn't the greatest. And I have to say that I personally would have struggled if I'd been a member of the Danish public to pick one song out of them all. Having said that, Fur og Flamme, who they picked, with the song Over Us På Hinanden, I think probably I'm kind of out on it because I love the fact that the song is in Danish, because we haven't had Danish in Eurovision since 1997, when we had Stemmer i mit liv. So I was really, really pleased about the fact that they chose a Danish language song, and I'm glad that they're keeping it in Danish, because I think sometimes translating it to English takes away a lot of the feeling and the meaning of the song. And the song, unfortunately, if you don't speak Danish, it's very hard to understand what the song's actually about, because there's nothing really that transmits on stage as to what it's actually about, apart from two guys who are there sort of dancing, singing along, and then one moves on from one podium to another. And it's actually about being on the dance floor, and it's about sort of not making mistakes and actually sort of looking at what moves you're going to make next. And it talks, and the translation for Over Us På Hinanden is actually practicing on each other. Yeah, which is kind of, and the song's kind of trying to sort of get this meeting between sort of a boy and a girl. It's a very 80s song, and I know that a lot of people are a bit nostalgic about the 80s, and I think they are the main group that this song is going to appeal to. Those of us that were brought up during the 80s, we all remember going off to the discos, we all remember sort of that type of music, and I think that's given it a nice little appeal about it. And I know that there's some people absolutely hate the sight of it, so I think it's going to divide a lot of opinions in Europe. I don't think it's the best song that Denmark have ever picked by any means. They've had a lot stronger over the years. But having said that, it's not the worst either. I think it may it may just get through into the final. I think, you know, if people like it enough to pick up the phone and vote, you know, if they didn't start people feeling nostalgic about the 80s, you know, they might have had a bit to drink on the night. I think it might just slip through, but I think it's going to be bottom end of the scoreboard. To be honest, I don't think it's going to make any sort of threats about winning at all. But all credit to them. They're singing in Danish, and I think that can only be a great thing.
Thanks, Sarah. Okay, we're going to go around the room, and I'm going to include everyone this time. Richard, what are your views on Denmark?
When I first heard it, I actually liked it, and I was born in the 80s, so 80s music sort of bypassed me, sadly. The one thing I do like is that it's been kept in Danish. It's not been translated into English. And hopefully this might, you know, filter through to other countries. An interview with Christian Bjorkman, when he was asked about Melody Festivalen, he said Swedish singers won't go there and sing in Swedish because the English always wins. However, I just quickly look back, and in the final this year, there's a third of the 12 songs were in Swedish. So I think there is that appetite for home nation languages again. And if if Denmark get to the final with Danish, I honestly think we'll hear more home native languages going forward. So fingers crossed. And I think it will get to the final.
Thanks, Richard. Okay, yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a bop. I mean, for those of us who remember the 1980s, this is actually quite a bop, and it sort of takes me right back to it. And if this was 35 years ago, I'd swear they were trying to be a Wham tribute act. The main singer up front, and the other half of the band, the guy just a bit behind with his guitar. Wham! It's Wham for those that remember. I'm loving the fact they're keeping it in Danish. That's the main selling point for me, especially when this block of countries that we're reviewing tonight very, very rarely opt for their own language. They do, but more often than not, they go for English. So I'm pleased to see it going into Danish. Qualifier, I'd love to see it qualify, because there will be some very, very angry people out there, and it will be funny to see how they react. But yeah, I genuinely like to see it in the final. James, your views on Denmark?
I'm really struck by the sort of polarity of this song. As Sarah said earlier, people either really love it. I mean, I believe it's gone to #1 in Denmark, or it went to #1 in Denmark shortly after it was announced. And at the other end of the spectrum, you've got people who absolutely hate any mention of it. So it's interesting that it's sort of created these two polar reactions. As a song, it's very, very 80s, but then again, a lot of this year's lineup is, I think if you look at Eurovision 1986 and 2021, you sort of took the labels off and said, right, which is which. I think non-fans of the contest would maybe struggle to pick out which one came first, because it does, a lot of songs this year are very 80s, and Denmark has really honed in on that sound. This is nothing to do with the song, but just every time I look at the singer, he reminds me of Marty McFly from Back to the Future. I don't know if it's the haircut or the jacket. Sarah's nodding frantically. But yeah, so it sort of again pulls me into that nostalgia. I don't dislike it. I think it's it's harmless enough. It's pleasant to listen to. I like the fact that it's in Danish as well, as we've all said. And who knows, if it got to the final and did anything on the scoreboard, maybe that would encourage more countries to sing in a native tongue. I think Sarah said it best where she said it's not going to sort of worry the top of the scoreboard too much. I think qualify, definitely. I think if it got to the final, there would be enough people that would get behind the 80s sound of it. But yeah, I don't mind it. All these polar reactions, I am literally in the middle. I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. It's nice.
Thanks, James. Shardy.
Thank you.
Your go.
Yeah, the Marmite song, you're supposed to love it or you're supposed to hate it, but like James, I don't love it and I don't hate it. It's a pleasant song for me. It reminds me a little bit of Sweden's Blonde in 1997, that kind of tempo of the song, and an 80s kind of vibe, as everyone said. I think it will qualify, but like others have said, probably be a lower table when it does qualify. But yeah, pleasant song.
Bogdan, finish off Denmark for us.
I'll be really boring and echo what the others said before me. So I like it as well. I'm not wowed, but I enjoy listening to it. I think it's fun. I love it that it's in Danish. If it qualifies for me, maybe on the 10th position, something there. Like, there's no high hopes for it. It's pleasant. Will it pick up the votes? I don't know. But what I do love is their enthusiasm. I think that's why it won in the Danish selection, because they were the most enthusiastic. They wanted to show that they wanted to win the competition, so that's why they won. So yeah, if they repeat that, maybe they'll pick up some other votes. Who knows? But yeah, it's a pleasant song. I like it.
Thanks, Bogdan. Okay, that's what we think of Denmark, folks. Do you agree with us? Tell us in the comments that you'll see around this article, around this YouTube video. We're now moving on to Sweden. Richard, give us your views.
So a little bit of background about Tusse first. He was the semi-finalist in the 2018 Swedish version of Britain's Got Talent. And then he won Swedish Idol in 2019. So he's quite a newbie to the scene. And he's also the first debuting artist in Melodifestivalen to go direct to the final. Normally the debutants normally have to go through Anders Chansen to get to the final. This year was a bit different in terms of Melodifestivalen for me, because I'm normally in the arena for the final, sort of supporting my favourites. And if I was there, Tuss wouldn't been really on my radar. But because I was at home this year, sitting watching it properly for the first time, I treated like it was an average Eurovision Song Contest viewer. And out of the 12 songs that were there, actually, I was drawn to him. Vocally, he was brilliant. Performance-wise, he was brilliant. He had connectivity with the camera. You know, so I wouldn't have got that had I been in the arena. So actually, I got that as a TV viewer for the first time. And even though it's not one of Sweden's strongest entries, I think there's enough in, it's called Voices, so I think it's to do with like the background of the past year, hearing voices sort of crying out for help, that sort of thing. And I think there's enough there to get some televote and then reasonable jury votes, but not enough to say win, because I don't think it's got enough impact compared to other entries we've seen for this year. But overall, he knows how to perform it.
Okay, thanks, Richard. Right, I'll start on this one before we go around the rest of the room. I thought it was just a little bit too formulaic for me. The guy's got a cracking backstory about how he got to Sweden, so they need to make more of that, because it's quite a backstory. And if you don't know what it is, look online. Look online. So no, I don't think the song's that brilliant. It's very formulaic. It's got a key change coming that you can see from the moon. I think a lot of it's been done. He mentions A Million Voices. That worked for Russia a few years ago. I don't know whether it could work again. It's Sweden, so it will pick up votes on the strength of it being Sweden, and it will probably make the final. But I've got a feeling I could probably find 10 songs in that semi-final that are better, that I prefer. But there we go. So there we are. I'm slaughtering Sweden. It's not without its merits, but I just think they could have done a whole lot better. James, save me.
I don't know if I can. I'm going to say much the same things. It's Sweden doing what Sweden do well, which is, I think, why it feels a tad formulaic. We've come to expect perfection from Sweden. You know, we expect songs that have that hook, that are performed well, good connectivity, staged well, all these things. So it's just like check, 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 check. Yes, it's Sweden being Sweden. I do agree with what John said about making more of the singer's backstory and sort of bringing him more to the front, because I think that is the USP of the song. Yeah, going to what Richard said as well, I think it did stand out on the night again. In a lot of very polished songs, it did stand out, so that says something about it. I think it will qualify because it's Sweden and they know how to play this game. Let's be completely honest, they know what they're doing. So qualifying for the final, except for Anna Bergendahl, it's a formality for Sweden. Going into the final, yeah, I'm expecting a top 10 finish for Sweden. I think there's enough there, as we said, for the jury and televote. Winning, I think, might be a bit beyond its reach, but it'll definitely place, and Sweden won't have to worry on that score. So that's my slaughtering of Sweden. Can someone save me now, please?
Thanks, James. Well, to do the saving, it's over to Shardy.
Well, thank you, James. So I think Sweden's got a lot going for it. So I think he can really sing. I think he's got a distinctive look that sells the song. I think it's an anthemic song, simple but strong. I think it's a solid performance. But for me, what's really grating on me after I've listened to it 2 or 3 or 4 times is a million voices repeated and repeated and repeated, and it's starting getting in my head, and I'm starting to really dislike it because of that. But most viewers will have only watched it once or twice, so I think it will get into the final because it is a strong song. It's grating on me after hearing it 5 or 6 or 7 times.
So less is more from this one then, really. Yeah. Bogdan, give us your views.
I watched the Melody Festival final, and I was, in my heart, was hoping for Charlotte Perrelli because I'm a fan. And yeah, we're still young. But I must admit, Tusse gave a brilliant performance, and I thought of this performance through the Black Lives Matter movement, because it symbolizes that they're a voice that needs to be heard. And I've seen the symbolistic of kneeling, which is another symbol for Black Lives Matter, and he does it on the stage. So for the ones that don't know about the movement, it's a symbol for that. So I think people that support this cause will vote for it, not because it's a song that wants us to connect and wants to bring us all together, but I think it is a good song and with a good message, and he sings really well as well. So I think it will qualify. I'm not sure if it's a contender for the winning spot, because I definitely think that there are better songs, but yeah, it has a chance to do well.
Thanks, Bogdan. Okay, Sarah, over to you.
I have the last word. I have to agree with what's been said already, really. I think Sweden will always send something safe. That's one thing you can always guarantee about Sweden. It'll either be something very safe, or it'll be something, they're going all out, guns blazing for the win. And I think this year, I think they certainly picked the best song in that Melody Festival and final. I think it's got a good rhythm to it. The staging's certainly good. If you can replicate that staging in Rotterdam, that's fine. I think there's a good, as Bogdan said, there's a good message there, the BLM movement, million voices, and that will resonate with a lot of people, but particularly those who may have been involved in the BLM movements over the last year. I do agree with Shardy about the repetitiveness. That irritates me. I just find after a while, I start off, I'm quite engaged in the song, but then as it goes on, you keep hearing million voices. I think, for goodness sake, I'm getting a bit fed up with it by then. So, yeah, I think Sweden will definitely do well with this. It'll definitely qualify. It'll get reasonable amounts of both jury votes, public votes. Definite top 10, I would think, as we usually do get with Sweden.
Thanks, Sarah. Okay, 5 down, 1 to go. And that last one is Norway. And yeah, Kaino. Oh no, sorry. And I'm going to lead on this one. And to start with, I was probably as surprised as anyone when a certain other act didn't win, and this one won instead. So we've got to judge it on Tix and his Fallen Angel. I think it's brilliant. I really do. Excellent staging, although 7 of them on stage, I don't know what they're going to do for a 6, maximum of 6. Maybe just going to drop 2 of the Devils. He's a very striking looking gentleman, and that's going to draw the televoter in. I think whether you're a fan of his music or this sort of music or not, the look is going to draw you in. It's like, oh, it's the angel, but then some. Yeah. An angel from Essex, maybe, with all the old jewelry. I don't know why I like it, but I say I really, really do. He's got a great voice. There's a lot of soaring vocals in it, and it reminded me of a song. Everything's reminding me of something else tonight, and this song reminded me of a song called Della Capats from Romania a few years ago, which again I really, really loved. Again, there's a key change coming. You know it's going to come, but it doesn't go into final chorus. It's more into the finishing off and just the notes at the end. And I just love it as a package. I really like it. As a song on radio, I could really, really like it as well. Having said that, because it's so expensive, I don't want Norway to win. But from a song perspective, I'd love to see it win. But from visiting Norway next year, I don't, because the country will bankrupt me. Anyway, I love it. Hope it gets through to the final, which it should do. Good luck to him. James.
Well, what can I say about it? I missed the first semi-final when he performed, but Sarah texted me straight afterwards and she was like, you have to go and watch Tix and tell me what you think, because it's just it's just madly brilliant. It's what Eurovision is made for, staging like that. Yes, sort of Angel / Liberace look there, the staging for the demons, everything. It's so eye-catching, and regardless of whether it does well or not the contest, if they take that staging to Rotterdam, that is ending up on every show reel of here's what Eurovision is like for the next 50 years. It's just that brilliantly bonkers. Tix is insanely popular in Norway, so I know a lot of the fans were sort of surprised when he won over Kano, but he's just so popular, so loved out there. So I think it was a surprise for everyone outside Norway. That's, I think, where the issue comes in. He's got a brilliant voice. The look, as we said, is very striking. There's also a real vulnerability about him, which I find interesting. The way he sings, you listen to lyrics, it's actually a song that's tinged with quite a lot of sadness. So I think it's a song that most people, everyone connects to a song about a broken heart in one way or another. So I think if you add that to very shocking visuals, some of those sort of escalating notes that he does and things, I see Norway sailing into the final with this, and winning I think might be a bit beyond his reach, to quote the song, but I think placing in the top 10, I can see it doing incredibly well with the televote. I can see it doing, is this just going to be Norway's thing now? They're just going to keep winning the televote to try and catapult them up to the top, because I can see it doing that. Juries middle here, oh wait, you've come third in the televote, here's another 400 points. I can see that happening.
Thanks, James. Shadi, give us your take on Norway.
Well, when I listened to it, I really enjoyed his vocals. I really enjoyed the song. It was really catchy. And then I opened my eyes and looked at the screen. And for me, and like everybody else, it was too much for me. It was too busy. It was too larger than life. And for me, it distracted from the song. I know that that sort of staging, that sort of performance goes down really well in Eurovision usually, but for me it distracted from the song and from his vocals. So listening to it on the radio, I think what you said, John, a radio song for me it is, but a visual song it isn't.
Fair enough. Thanks Shadi. Bogdan, what do you think of Norway?
I agree with Shadi, actually. It's a bit distracting, the visuals, but the song is brilliant. Like, if somehow we can balance these two, the visual and the song, like to focus more on the message of the song, and I don't know how to put it into words, but this song will definitely qualify. I see it in top 10 with no problem. It's just, well, I sing it sometimes, and it's memorable. It's good, and yeah, it will do well.
Thanks, Bogdan. Sarah.
Right. Well, having sort of followed the Norwegian Melody Grand Prix, because I was blogging it regularly, and I had to say that when I first saw it, I thought this is really quite bizarre. Yeah, and I don't know, like as Shadi said, for me there was too much going on. But when I started looking into the story about Tix and his background, and then you start to twig what the message of the song is about and what the actual staging is representing. And he's talking about because this song relates back to when he suffered with depression in early years and how he used to get bullied at school because he had tics, and he used to get teased about that. And it's really and it really just comes across really quite emotional with the stage, because then once you understand it, it's kind of easier to follow, because you've got him as the angel there, he's the fallen angel, and he's talking about trying to get away from his demons. So there you've got the demons on the stage with the chains there, which he's trying to get away from. And I think sort of if people sort of read up about him and then they can connect more with the song. It all depends on what background research people have done on him, I think. I love his vocals. I think he's a fantastic singer, and I can understand why he's so popular in Norway. I just sort of worry about sort of whether people will actually sort of get what the staging is about, and therefore the meaning behind the song. Because there is a big message in there. You just have to listen for it. I think it will qualify. I think top 10, maybe, perhaps. I think it will get a huge sort of televote, particularly from the Norwegians can't vote for it anyway. But it's how sort of what the rest of Europe is going to engage with it, I think, for me.
And Sarah, last but certainly not least, Richard.
I saw the tail end of the final Melody Grand Prix and thought, okay then, that's fine, considering the bonkers staging. Then I heard it on a Eurovision radio show the following night on the Sunday, and it completely bypassed me. I didn't click it was Tix or anything until the person presenting it said what it was. But I think it'll get its votes from the staging, because people will remember it for the staging. So televoters will go for it. Country juries, I'm not sure, but it'll do enough to get into the final. But how won the final, I'm really not sure.
Thanks, Richard. Right, so now we reviewed all 6 songs from the Nordic region: Iceland, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland and Estonia. Now what we're going to do is give each song a score out of 10. We're going to discard the lowest score, so everything's out of 50, and we'll put these with the other reviews that we're doing of all the 40 odd songs this year. So hopefully by the end of the 7 shows, Eurovision Ireland will have a favourite. So we'll start with Estonia. So James.
This is easily one of my favourite songs this year, so I'm going to go straight out the gate with 10 points to Estonia.
10. Shadi.
Well, I will give this 4.
4.
Sorry, James.
Bogdan.
6.
6. Sarah.
5.
5. Richard.
6.
6. And I'm going to give it a 7. So our lowest mark was a 4 there, so he scores 34. Right, next we'll go to Iceland.
Yeah, I give that a 9 points.
A 9 for Iceland. Bogdan.
7.
7. Sarah?
8.
8. Richard?
7, I think.
7. I'm going to go for a 6 on that one. James?
4.
4. Score of 37 for that one, because we've discarded the 4. Right, Finland. Bogdan?
9.
9. Sarah?
2.
2.
Uh,
Richard?
1.
1. I'm going to give it a 6. James?
8.
8. And Shadi?
I'm giving it a 7.
7. Score of 32 there, because we've discarded the 1 point from Richard. Denmark. So we're going to start with Sarah.
8.
8 from Sarah. Richard?
8.
And another one. I'm going for 8 as well. James?
7.
7. Shadi?
I give Denmark 6.
6. And Bogdan?
6 as well.
6. 37. Same as Iceland. Sweden next. Richard?
8.
8. 4 from me. James?
I'm going to go for 6.
6. Shadi?
5 from me.
5. Bogdan?
6.
6. And Sarah? 6. It's a score of 30. 1. Because of ditching my 4 points. Score of 31 there. Finally, Norway. I'm going to give that one a 9. James?
It's a 9 from me as well.
9. Shadi?
I give Norway 7.
7. Bogdan?
8.
8. Okay. Sarah?
7.
7. And Richard?
6.
6. Gives us a score of 40, because we've dropped the 6. So our review tonight: in 6th place we have Sweden on 31. In 5th place we have Finland on 32. In 4th place on 34 we have Estonia. Thank you. In 2nd equal on 37 we have Denmark and Iceland. And tonight's winner is Norway on 40. So well done to Tix. Right, there will be more of these reviews to come, so keep staying tuned. Stay tuned for more. We're going to sign off very shortly, but we're going to say goodbye. So, James, any last message?
Bye, everyone. Bye, everyone. Take care.
Shadi?
Thanks for inviting me. Goodbye, everyone.
Well done.
See you on your next new review. See you soon.
Sarah?
Bye, everyone. See you soon.
Richard?
See you all soon.
And Staggy are saying goodbye. So, Eurovision Island, wave. Bye.
Bye.